We have another episode of You Make It, We Mock It, where our viewers become amateur weapons and aerospace engineers. Stay tuned. Today we have a very unusual design by Evan Perry of Texas, also known as Rhinestone Hurricane right here on YouTube. That might be his rapper name. And even by Evan's standards, this slug is a weird one. Now, Evan gave this a code name of the Full Throttle Slug. But when I look at this thing, it looks anything like a shotgun slug. In fact, it looks like a CUFFLINK. In fact, we're going to call this the Devil's CUFFLINK, because that sounds scarier. The viewers just send these slugs to me just as you see them, and I have to come up with a way of actually launching them out of a 12-gauge shotgun. So when I saw this slug, it looked like a big challenge to me. How the heck am I going to make this thing work? Now, the first thing I have to do is check the dimensions of it. Is it the right diameter? Is it, between 0.675 and 0.680 inches? Yep, that should work. I then weigh the projectile, and this determines what type of powder I use. A lightweight projectile like this needs a fast burning powder to function. So the powders I actually have, I have a choice between using a Lion E3 or a Hodgson Tightwad. And of course, the amount of powder determines what velocity we want these things to fly at. I then have to determine what components to use in the shell, like gas seals and wads. Now, the projectiles that people make for us are actually sub-caliber projectiles, and that's so we can use a two-piece discarding sabot. The designers can make the projectiles out of almost any material that they can imagine, and the purpose of the sabot is to protect the barrel from damage. You see, that steel washer would really destroy a barrel if it came in contact with it. The sabot keeps the projectile perfectly centered in the barrel and prevents it from flopping around. Ideally, you want the projectile to leave the barrel perfectly straight if you want any kind of success. Now, the craziest thing about this projectile is it's supposed to be self-stabilizing. No spin at all. We're going to do all the tests today out of a smoothbore. Now, look at this thing. Make your predictions now. Do you think this will fly straight? For today's test, we're going to be using some incremental powder charges, starting with 10 grains of tightwad. Then we'll go to 12, 14, 16, and go all the way up to 18 grains. So we'll be able to see how these fly at subsonic and also supersonic speeds. Let's head out and see how they perform.
Hey everyone, we are back out here. We finally got some sunlight. We got the shadows back. And today we're going to test Evan's Full Throttle, which he calls it. I think Devil's CUFFLINK is a little more, I don't know, cool. We're going to start out with 10 grains of tightwad. Remember, I'm not a big fan of tightwad, but it doesn't, maybe I'm just not fluent with it that much. I don't use it that much. So we'll see how that works out. 10 grains, maybe get about 1,000 feet per second out of that. I'm probably way off on that. We'll find out. Aiming at the little TAOFLEDERMAUS sticker on the vest. Hit it. Hit it. Oh my gosh, 635 feet per second. So very light round. We wanted to keep it subsonic.
Let's take a look at the high-speed footage. It's coming in from the left there, and we can see that it's still dragging along the gas seal and the cork wad in its wake, but that projectile is stable. It's kind of bobbing up and down as it self-stabilizes, but it's flying stable. Absolutely amazing. At Mach 0.56, we're very subsonic there. It seemed to work pretty well.
It's looking kind of promising at that slow speed in the 600 feet per second. That was a lot slower than I even thought it would be. That just tells you how unfamiliar I am with that tightwad powder. 10 grains. So it just shot a little bit high. It's not bad. And then it stuck in the vest, and it's actually survived. So very light load, very slow, but we'll speed it up there. We're going to shoot another 10 grain powder load at this soda bottle and see what kind of damage even something that slow does to a bottle. Kind of a Hickok 45 target, right? Here we go. Los. 743. So we had a little bit faster there. Here we go. Los.
Now this shot's actually quite remarkable. We can see the projectile tumbling, and then it stops rotating and starts to self-correct. So the projectile was definitely trying to stabilize itself. Just something happened that caused the slug to begin tumbling, and that also threw off its accuracy a little bit. We still hit the jug, which is a good thing, but we did see some very unusual aerodynamics going on there. So I would call that shot a fascinating failure. Still really cool to see.
Okay, next we have a 12 grain load. We'll see if we can get more velocity, maybe up in the 800s. Not sure. We got our, this is a ballistic gel cast in a bucket. Real simple, just some old nasty gel. Wanted to figure out a way to reuse that instead of just throwing it away. It's stuff's real expensive. And when it starts getting dark and oxidized and everything, it gives me something, you know, I can still have a use for it until I throw it away. So anyway, 12 grains is next. Here we go. Oh, okay, I think we got it down. It looked like it hit directly in there. So we got 749 out of that one. Here we go.
Now it looks like we had a very clean launch on this one. It's flying very straight, and then at the last, few inches, it starts to yaw and turn. Kind of the opposite of what we saw in the last shot. It was still a very accurate shot, only because it kind of went cattywampus on us at the very, very last millisecond. Now the projectile made a pretty nasty gash in the gel, and the projectile ended up about an index finger deep, so about 3 inches of penetration on that shot. And the recovered projectile has virtually no damage to it.
All right, we got the tactical ballistic gummy bear made out of clear ballistics. This is a little more translucent, and we'll be able to see the wound track a little better. So again, I'm aiming about an inch below the very bottom of it. These have all been shooting kind of high. So let's see how this does with another 12 grain load. Not sure where that went. We'll have to review the high speed. That's the nice thing about high speed. You can see the hits and also the misses.
Now we got a little better speed on this shot, but we can definitely see why it missed. It was just tumbling very badly, and it struck the table and broke. Well, let's give it another try and see if we can hit that gummy bear.
The last 12 grainer was 888 feet per second. Still very subsonic. We're gonna move up to the 14 grain loads now. See what these do. Maybe we'll hit this target. Okay, here we go. A little better there. Now we're at 1,001 feet per second. Okay, here we go.
Now in this shot, we finally have a picture-perfect flight. But what's really odd is that slug is rotating probably a couple thousand RPM, even though there is nothing to induce that spin. No rifling, nothing on the projectile itself to cause it to rotate like that. Absolutely baffles my mind. And in case you missed it, let's watch it one more time.
Okay, we got a face shot there. You can see the wide gash that it left. And it pulled a little bit of gel out of the back. Hopefully you can see all the, just a really wide gash. I mean, that's kind of interesting. Well, I guess that you would expect that with the shape of this unusual slug, but that one looked like it was flying stable, which is, it just blows my mind that these are doing that, to be honest with you. Did not know what these things would actually do. I had theories and everything, but Evan, again, he has a very good understanding of supersonic and even subsonic stability with unusual projectiles. We've never seen a projectile of this shape before. It's such an odd shape. All right, we got cheese ball jug. Here's a little story about this. When Greg was down here in December, he brought this thing of cheese puffs, these cheese balls, as a target. We didn't end up shooting it, but I ended up eating them. So now we got it full of water. They were quite good. They were really fresh. So aiming at the sticker from Concrete Dragon. Thank you for sending those stickers for us to shoot. Let's see what these will do. Now we got another 14 grain load. So we, in theory, it should be close to 1,000 feet per second again. Okay, and here we go. That was back down to 739, so we didn't have good burn on that one apparently. I've noticed in some of the shells there's a little bit of unburnt powder. These things are so light, it's even using a fast powder we don't get full powder burn sometimes. Okay, and here we go.
Now, despite not getting full velocity, we did get very good stability, and you'll notice that one was not rotating at all. And for whatever reason, it just was not very accurate, even though everything else, all the other planets aligned, you know what I'm saying? But still, I'm kind of happy that the projectile was stable in flight, and that's kind of cool to see.
So again, I was actually had the red dot right here, and then it hit up here. The interesting thing is it was flying well, and you can see it hit, of course, made a nice cut, and then it blew out the back somewhere. So we had a little bit of, even for something that light, it would probably still be fatal if you shot something with it. Definitely be fatal. We're up to the 16 grain loads. We started out at 10, went to 12, then 14, and now we're at 16. We got a little bit smaller target, and honestly, if I can hit this, I'd be very surprised. Now the incremental powder loads where we start out with kind of light loads and work it up is really interesting to see, but the challenge there is it often changes the point of impact when you start changing things like that. So let's see if I can hit that thing. Okay, everything's lined up with this rig. You can't blame the shooter if it's pointed on it on the... Okay, here we go. Okay, 921. Didn't see a huge burst in speed or nothing, but accurate enough to hit that little can. Okay, here we go. Okay.
Now, during these tests, we can definitely see that there is a very fine line between success and failure. Now, again, this one started losing stability as it neared the target. And it was just pure luck that we hit it, actually. Now, one problem we had with these tests is we had unpredictable and inconsistent velocities. And I could definitely say that using the tightwad powder was definitely a mistake. Really, the payload weight is just too light for this type of powder.
Well, we got a twofer on that one. I put the computer hard drive behind it in case we had a close call. It hit something still, and that, for once, it worked out as planned there. So we had a grazing shot on the side. Just scooped out the steel, and then it started tumbling, and then it hit sideways right there. You can actually see the shape of it. If I look closely, maybe I'll find it in all this shaving cream on the ground. I'll look for it. But we must move on. Okay, I've been needing to get rid of these pumpkins. I've had them since October. We gotta get rid of them. 3 little pumpkins lined up. Maybe we could take them all out in one fell swoop. And the last of the 16 grain load. All right, can I even hit it? Well, sorta. So we had 1122 on that one, 1122. So that's nearly supersonic. All right, can I even hit it?
Now, this is the fastest one yet. We almost reached the supersonic speed, and we had great stability. The accuracy just was not there, and I'm going to blame that on the ever-changing point of impact. You change the velocity and, you know, change all those factors, it changes the point of impact. So I'm going to blame that. Okay, that one looked like it was flying straight and true. It amazes me. Why this shape actually works is mind-blowing. I thought these things were going to be tumbling all over the place. I thought this was going to be a complete failure video, in fact. But it shot high and to the right. Again, I got to remind you, when we change the powder loads, start changing the velocity and everything, the point of impact changes too. Even at this close distance, we're only about 16 yards away. So we got 2 of the pumpkins, so pretty happy with that. Sometimes you're just happy with a hit. All right, we got 1 left. I guess we're gonna have to save that one for the lead plate with 18 grains of powder. Maybe we'll get up to maybe 1,200 feet per second or something like that. Maybe faster, I don't know, if we get the right powder burn. Okay, 18 grains. Very light projectile, weird projectile. I think this is the weirdest shape we've ever tried to shoot. It just might be, at least for user-created slugs. Evan is the king of weird slugs, I'll tell you that. So 18 grains. Hopefully we get good powder burn, and hopefully we get accuracy. You never know. Oh, last one, finally. Let's see what 18 grains does. So we had 1,634 on that one. Definitely supersonic. I can't tell if I hit or not. After all the prior tests, I certainly did not expect to hit over 1,600 feet per second. In fact, I was running the camera a little too slow for this kind of speed. And of course, the slug hit a previous crater in the plate. That's my kind of luck, you know. That's Jeff's luck right there. But the slug did really well at this velocity.
Again, I was aiming kind of low, hit way up here. So they're all kind of shooting high. And I looked at it, it's like, well, we already had 2 hits there before, and it hit exactly where another slug hit. Accuracy wise, stability, it looked like it was stable. I'll have to look at the high speed a little closer, but there you go. The slug that if I was taking bets, I would have said this would have been a failure, complete failure, just because of the nature of the slug, the shape of the slug. It's such an oddball slug. You know, a hammerhead shape, the devil's CUFFLINK, but that would be fatal, you know, something traveling that fast at 1,600 feet per second and weighing just over 100 grains. So there you go. I can't remember exactly how much, it was 120 grains. It was about the weight of like a handgun bullet, or, you know, like a 38 or something. I'm probably wrong there, but that's it. That's all the slugs. Thank you, Evan. I able to capture the one in the vest. I could save that and send it back to you someday when I have the whole collection done, or whenever whenever you want me to send it back. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed it. The Devil's CUFFLINK. If Devil's CUFFLINK doesn't instill fear on your enemy, I don't know what does. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. More sun, please, though. Please send us more sun.